Hello, my name is Lola Hernandez, and today I have the pleasure to have with me Mary Boularand, and I'm sorry about my pronunciation. And she's a psychotherapist, a psychobiotherapist, and a naturopath. And I'm so happy that we are going to be here talking a little bit about what you do.
Thank you for welcoming me in your show.
Okay, awesome. Mary, I know that you are a psychobiotherapist, and the kind of therapies that you do are related to something called biodecoding.
Right.
And I was thinking about that word, and I said, well, bio, like biological, and then decoding. What does it decodes? I mean, decoding. I mean, can you explain to me a little bit more?
Yes. So biodecoding is the contraction of biological decoding. So basically, we are going to decode biology and apply to the body. So basically, we are decoding the language of the cells. And so when we have a symptom, we are going to decode the symptom to figure out what is the emotional cause behind the symptom.
So are you telling me that every single symptom that we have in the body has an emotional cause? It's not because you inherited or just, because it's raining and you get wet and you get sick.
Okay, so all of this is correct for the origin of the symptoms. It depends on your beliefs. So for me, in most diseases, there is an emotional cause. So I always ask myself, well, if it's cold outside and everybody gets out and there are only 2 or 3 people sick, I ask myself, but what is the difference that makes the difference? How come everybody got into contact with the coldness outside and not everybody got sick? So it's always the question that I ask myself, what makes the difference?
Okay, and what's the origin of all this biodecoding? I mean, if we go back in history, who started talking about this?
So the very first person who discovered the connection between the symptom and the emotional cause in a very logical manner is Dr. Hammer, he passed away in 2017, who was a medical doctor, a German medical doctor, and from his own experience of losing his son accidentally, he developed a testicular cancer, and he made a connection between what he went through in his life and the testicular cancer. And so he started to ask himself question, is it connected? So instead of saying, oh, this is bad luck and my diet was not good or because it's my age, etc., he put the two together and he started from there and started to document himself with other people going through the same type of cancer. And he realized that the person, especially the man with testicular cancer, had also experienced a very similar situation where they had lost a child.
Okay. But does that mean that, for example, in that case with Dr. Hammer, every single man that will lose a child will develop testicular cancer?
No, that depends on how you perceive the situation.
Okay.
Yeah, the meaning that you are going to give to the situation. So depending on how you perceive the situation, it's going to decode a very specific organ in the body. So for instance, if I lose my job, let's imagine 3 people losing their jobs, they are going to perceive the situation very differently. And so if I feel like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to sustain my family, how I'm going to feed them, then my biology is going to decode a very specific organ that is in charge of storing the food to make reserve of the food, which is the liver. So if I cannot find a solution right away, then the body is going to provide the organic solution. So for the mind, it's not logical. I lose my job and I'm going to develop liver cancer. How is going to resolve my situation? So we have to understand that we are talking about two different logics here. We have the mental logic. Here we are talking about the biological logic, which is based on survival, my own survival. And so that is what is going on. So when I cannot find solutions outside, my biology is going to provide a biological solution.
Okay, because you just mentioned something very interesting, and you say it depends on how a person perceives the situation. Because, for instance, I'm going to use myself as an example. My father passed away when we were young, but there are 4 sisters, and to me, all of us will perceive, the loss the same way, because I mean, we were children, we were young. But now you are saying that each person will perceive it in a different way.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because you are not like your sisters, you don't have the same age. And as you know, depending on our age, we have, we perceive the world differently. They were conceived in a very specific moment in time with very specific events in your parents' life, in your own country. So all of this is going to be recorded in our cells, and so it's going to build our own personality, our own sensitivities. And so therefore we won't perceive the world exactly the same way than my other siblings, for instance.
Okay, but for example, conventional medicine, if that's a way to talk about conventional medicine, they treat a type of illness or sickness with the same kind of treatment. So we are not taking into consideration this different perception about the event. How come some people can, get a treatment, a medical treatment, and be cured or feel much better, and some other people will not? Is because of the perception, or some people has a better immune system, or I mean, what will be the difference then?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and at the same time very complex, because we are human beings, and like you say, there are so many different parameters to take into account, and you illustrate perfectly that nobody reacts the same facing a situation. Therefore, when receiving a same treatment, we don't react the same either. So it depends on so many things. It depends on our perception of the disease. It depends on the perception of the treatment. It depends at which stage of the disease we are, because the disease is not a fixed thing. It's not like a snapshot. It evolves. It changes every single day. So depending on all of this, we are going to react differently to a treatment, and that's why some treatments are going to work great and very fast with no side effects for one person with a very similar symptom, and for another person it's going to be a catastrophe for this person.
Yes, and I have read on the some articles about biodecoding that it's mentioned that let's say, if I can recall the words, like illness. I mean, the illness is not. It's not a tragedy, but it's like a solution. It's actually a solution, and I was like, a solution for what? I mean, what is it that the sickness or the symptom is solving? in the decoding.
Yeah.
What is it solving?
Yeah, that's the disturbing sentence.
Yeah.
How
It's like,
can
how
disease can be a solution? I'm in pain and it hurts and
and a long treatment maybe, and I don't know. I need to invest a lot of time and money.
Exactly.
And
So
blah blah blah.
it looks more like a problem, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. So here again, we have to go back to the logic, the biological logic. The body only reacts for to sustain our own survival. And the body has only one program, is to make sure that we survive the second after. And so the body is going to react to all the elements of the environment and is going to adjust to that to make sure that the second after we survive. And so depending on the level of the stress, it's going to be a smaller reaction. But if the stress is enormous, then the body is going to do an enormous reaction. And we are going to see it, feel it, and that's what we call a symptom. Just imagine when you walk, if you don't walk, your heartbeat is going to be very slow. If you start walking, your heartbeat is going to start accelerating. If you start running, your heartbeat is going to start running too. And imagine you have a lion coming out of a bush and starting to chase you. Then your body is going to put all its resources to run super, super fast, and you are going to become a Superman for a few seconds. Yes. To save your skin. So the disease is the super solution to a stress that happened a few seconds before. So like I said earlier with the liver, if I lose my job and I perceive it like, how am I going to sustain my family?
Yes.
Then it's the super program. I'm going to do a super liver so that I will be able to store a lot of food. So disease is the super solution. It's the last resort that the body has when nothing else outside is possible.
Got it. Now that you are mentioning this example of the lion coming and then you be concerned about how am I gonna feed my family, I'm thinking, yes, I recall a few times where I had a conflict with a person and the next day I was sick. I had a cold or a cough or my body will hurt, and it was interesting because at that moment I will think, oh, in addition to having the argument with the person, now I'm sick.
Exactly.
I never connected that there could be a relationship.
Yes. And that's those connections that we do in biodecoding.
Okay.
So to understand what we went through, we understand the function of the organ, the biological function of the organ. So we know now that the liver, we simplify for the understanding, the main function of the liver is to store the reserve of sugar, so that if I lack sugar in my blood, I take on the reserve in the liver. So if, for instance, I'm going through a situation and I find that situation like disgusting, okay? Some people use that word, oh really, it's disgusting what she did to me. Then if we take that word, what is the organ that treats disgusting things? It's the colon. So the biology is going to say, okay, this is a disgusting thing. So the biology is going to activate the colon.
Okay.
And so in biodecoding, we learn to decode the organ. The function of the organ is going to give us an idea of the type of conflictual emotional situation the person went through before the symptom appeared.
Okay, so sometimes the symptoms might appear years later after an event.
Yes.
So I mean, in the case that I described about myself, it was like almost immediate. Like, next day I was sick already. I mean, I can go and have a session with you, and we can work it out.
Yes.
But for some other people or for some other issues, you have to wait long time. I mean, until you get sick,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to go to the doctor. Then I
Yes.
go to you. When I go to the doctor, and then is there no way that I can go to you before going to the doctor? I mean, or do we go hand by hand with the doctor as well?
That's the best solution, you know. We are dealing with different levels here. You have the physical level, the emotional level, the mental level. So we are a whole being. So everything has to be addressed at every level. Okay? If we only address the physical level, we are missing the most important part, which is the emotional level and the mental level. And so the physical level really represents the tip of the iceberg. So the best thing for me, from my experience, it's when we work on the physical and the emotional at the same time. That's when you have the fastest and the most successful results.
Good. So when you say the physical, we are talking about like conventional medicine. Going to the doctor, get your treatment, whatever treatment you have, cancer, well, you get your treatment, or diabetes, or
Exactly. You respect the person's belief, you respect, really all the other professionals who work with you, and everything is complementary. If, if, if we knew about a medicine that could heal everything, we would not have all those modalities out there. So it means that all those modalities are useful for the person. And then after we choose what works best for us according to our belief system, our culture, personal experiences. But we need to work on every level. That's the best way to address our entire being.
there is another phrase that I have heard and I have read about biodecoding that says we have the answers, like our body has the answers. Um, how come we have the answers? I mean, why do we have the answers and we don't know what to do? I mean, if we have the answers to heal ourselves, why we are not doing it?
When you start listening to yourself, when you start listening to your words, and when you start knowing about your body, how it functions, how logical it is, you realize that you already know. Everything you say talks about your issue. Everything you do talks about your issue. But we have never learned, first of all, how this body works, and we have never learned to listen to ourselves. So we are completely ignorant about all of this. But once you start learning it, you realize that, oh my God, I already know.
You start connecting
Yes.
the dots little by little.
Exactly. And as a biodecoding practitioner, we don't have the answer. We don't know what the person has. We have some ideas, some hypotheses, because in biodecoding we work with hypotheses that comes from observation. But the person knows, the person has the answer, and the person is going to confirm our hypothesis or not. But we are listening to the person because we know that the person has the answer. And so a biodecoding practitioner learns to listen to all the words, the physical behaviors, and the symptom, and is just a mirror to the person, so that the person can see herself and say, oh my God, that's what it is.
And something that I believe is important to clarify or just to talk about is, so every single person that comes to see you, for example, with a knee problem or with a colon cancer or with a heart issue, so it's like there is a little box with symptoms, and now I know exactly what's going on. What do you need to do? It's like everything. You have like a little set of tools for each organ or for each people, or is different for everybody?
So in biodecoding, we have a set of knowledge, okay, that comes from observation and discoveries from many people. And many of this knowledge and theories have been verified by many people. So we have this set of, okay, if you have colon cancer, maybe it's a shitty situation that was hard to eliminate out of my life. So we have that. And we have a lot of therapeutic protocols to accompany the person. And about 100 in biodecoding.
Now let's say a person is losing hair, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So if they come to see you in one session, does that mean that next day that person is going to stop losing hair like
Mm-hmm.
this?
That depends. We have all kind of scenarios, and the body knows what it needs to be done at a specific time. So if the body needs to process slower because everybody has their own pace, their own way of integrating. Some people, when you start a sentence, they are like, oh yeah, I know what you mean right away. And some people, they need more time, they need more explanation, they need, and so everybody has their own way of integrating the work we do in the session. So some people are going to recover in a fraction in a second. We finish the session and the symptom disappears. So I've seen people coming with a very painful backache, and we do the session. At the end of the session, their 10 years of pain has completely disappeared. And some other people is going to take few weeks, few months, but that's what their body needs to integrate.
Okay. So Mary, in order to, start finishing this interview, I have heard as well that we all do what we do because there's a story behind. We always have a story behind what I do, behind the interviews that I do, the teaching that I do. What brought you to biodecoding? I mean, why were you interested if you were a naturopath already?
So my need at a very young age, because I went through what I call traumatic medical experience when I was a child. And so as a child, very early, I had the phobia of doctors. And so at a very early age, for me it was so vital, it was crucial for me to avoid to go to see a doctor and to go to hospital again. So I had this drive inside me. So at some point in my life, it became really obvious that that's what I had to do, was to become a naturopath. So already I was driven to take care of myself, to know how to take care of myself naturally without having to go someone else. So that was the primary motivation.
Okay.
And I've really thrived through my naturopathic studies. And when I started practicing, my first 3 clients were cancer patients. And the third patient was a woman, and this one was practicing everything perfectly what I had learned in naturopathic school
Mm-hmm.
for years. And at that moment, I was like, oh my God, what I have learned from naturopathy cannot prevent me from getting cancer. I had to find something else. So I knew at that moment that taking care of the physical body was not enough. So it brought me to the path to learn for something else, and I discovered the influence of the emotions over the body. And so I went through I've learned different modalities, touch for health, kinesiology, all those emotional management techniques. And of course, at some point, biodecoding came into my life, and it was a revelation. The symptom is a solution to a past emotional trauma. And for me, it was like, yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense. Very good. Thank you very much, Mary, for this interview. I had a great time and learning a lot. And
Thank you.
guess just to close, it's important that you all know that there is a web page that you can find information about
Yes.
biodecoding.
Yes. Go on www.biodecoding.com and you have all the information that you need, more videos, and of course training seminars if you're interested to learn about that. Yes.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lola, for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much. This is Lola Hernandez, and I'll see you next time. You have a great day.